Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Taylor, co-owner of VeganProteins online coaching. Today, we are going to be talking about menopause. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I originally had the idea for this video, I wanted to do a video about some of the pros of menopause. I feel like all we ever hear about is the negative, but surely there have to be some positives, right? Well, as it turns out, the list of positives about menopause is a very short and obvious one. You don't have to deal with periods and all of their symptoms ever again. You don't have to worry about getting pregnant, and you'll save money on tampons. Hardly a video worth making. That said, Giacomo and I have recorded an entire podcast about menopause, metabolism, maintaining your muscle, the problems that can come along with menopause, and what we can do to avoid or minimize some of the risks. So be sure to check that podcast out when it comes out, because in that podcast, we'll go over a lot of the negatives and how many of them can be avoided. It's no secret in America that older women have been hit with a lot of unpleasant words: unattractive, unhappy, useless, and so on. We've been given the message loud and clear that once we reach a certain age, we're basically invisible, and it comes at us from all sides: media, advertising, workplace, strangers on the street, and even members of our own families. It can sometimes feel like the world is shouting at us through a megaphone: "Ladies, you fulfilled your purpose, now please step aside." Unfortunately, most Western cultures view older women as less significant members of society. However, this is not the case all over the world, and it's encouraging to see American women rediscovering and acknowledging what a lot of other cultures have known for years. Menopause can be a beautiful transition from the old self to the most powerful forms of ourselves yet to come. But what I want to do in this video is look at some other viewpoints on menopause. Let's talk about some countries where women scarcely experience menopause symptoms at all, and learn to see this time as more than just an end of our menstrual periods, but as a transition to a part of our lives that is worth celebrating. Japan. Did you know that up until recently, there was no Japanese word for hot flash? The Japanese language, which is known for its precise detail, has numerous words for flashes of heat based on different causes and locations on the body. There's a phrase for heat from a fever. There's a word for sweats caused by a cold. There's a word for the flash of heat we feel in a hot bath, the flash of heat from alcohol use, but there is no specific title for a menopausal hot flash. Japanese women today rarely mention estrogen depletion and instead focus on hormone balance. Their approach to dealing with menopausal transition does not entail supplementing estrogen or recreating their menstrual cycles. And while medicalization and media attention to menopause have increased in the recent decade, hot flashes remain significantly lower than among white Americans or Japanese Americans. In fact, only about 25% of Japanese women report having hot flashes. Shoulder stiffness is the most common complaint among Japanese women at this time, although the risk of frozen shoulder increases in both men and women as they get older. In Japan, menopause, known as konenki, is supposed to begin in the early 40s and last until around the age of 60. They talk about this time as a time when the body loses balance, and the Japanese believe the causes are both cultural and biological. Menopause isn't a big concern for some Japanese women. This could be related to the breakdown of the word konenki. Literally, ko means renewal and regeneration, nen means years, and ki means season or energy. While translated into English as menopause, konenki refers to a much longer, gradual shift in which the loss of periods is only one significant factor. Most of us in America do not see menopause as a period of regeneration or rejuvenation, but rather something horrible that will happen to us all, and there is nothing we can do about it. When we compare the Japanese phrase to our own, the differences are so clear. Menopause is derived from the Greek word with men meaning month and pausis meaning stop, which provides this life stage no more meaning than the end of your period. It is no surprise that so many of us feel so hopeless. The Western attempt to immediately deal with the problem is clear even in the terminology that we use. Not too surprisingly, most of the research suggests that diet is the primary reason for Japanese women's lack of menopause symptoms. Some believe that a diet heavy in dairy and trans fats and low in fiber, such as the standard American diet, increases estrogen levels higher than normal and prepares us for a much larger crash of estrogen when our ovaries begin to produce less of it. Others believe that the high amount of phytoestrogens and isoflavones, mainly from soy, in Japanese cuisine reduces the hormonal imbalance. The bottom line is we just don't know. We do know that Japanese women have the world's highest life expectancy, with very few chronic health issues such as diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, or allergies. They also have half as many instances of osteoporosis as American white women. As of right now, the consensus of researchers is that Japanese women's exceptional health is due to a mix of diet, exercise, universal public education, fair access to good health care, and a culture of preventative care. Of course, genetics also plays a significant role. Knowing that hot flashes and other symptoms may not be necessary throughout menopause can help us recognize that whether through food, exercise, stress management, or hormone replacement therapy, we have a lot more influence over our individual menopause symptoms than we previously imagined. The Mayans. Contrary to popular belief, the incredible ancient Mayan culture has not completely disappeared. Several Mayans in rural Guatemala and Chichimila, I hope I'm saying that right, in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, were interviewed about women's health, specifically menopause. Scientists have been interested in Mayans for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is how Mayan women experience, or rather do not experience, traditional menopausal symptoms such as hot flashes, mood swings, and insomnia. This isn't absolute, of course. Some women in certain places did not report having substantial menopause symptoms, while others did. The numbers are limited, and while Mayan life is regarded quite progressive today, each town is very different from one another. According to the data, Mayan women reach menopause at around the age of 44 and have the same decrease in follicle-stimulating hormone as North American women. In Chichimila, women appear to prevent osteoporosis just like the Japanese women, even though their estrogen levels decline throughout menopause, as do ours, and their bone mineral density decreases. There is no clinical indication of an increase in bone fractures or osteoporosis. What I find the most interesting about all this is whether or not they have symptoms. Mayan women say they look forward to menopause and their newfound freedom. For those of us who lie awake in bed at night, getting hot one minute and freezing the next, or dealing with spells of depression and sadness, this optimism seems pretty incomprehensible. So, obviously, we want to know why they have this kind of outlook. And I think it's important that we don't look at menopause in a vacuum, but rather in conjunction with other factors such as nutrition, genetics, family history, and culture. For years, Western medicine has played down the significance of menopause by treating it solely in biological terms, when there is obviously more going on. Much like they've downplayed our period symptoms for our entire lives, but hey, that's a different video. The Mayans follow an all-natural, predominantly plant-based diet and live a slow and easy lifestyle, both of which contribute significantly to the reduced menopause symptoms and our theme that we are realizing is very important to health overall. When Mayan women hit menopause, they can take on new roles as spiritual leaders in their societies. Wise women in other cultures and indigenous cultures across the world, from New Zealand's Maori to the Iroquois Indians, postmenopausal women hold significant authority and prestige in their communities. Menopause in many of these countries represents a transition from community member to community leader. Traditional shamanic societies such as Mayan women and Cree women in Canada believe that women must go through menopause in order to access their shamanic and healing abilities. Since menstrual blood has the ability to grow life in the womb, when women reach the age of retaining their blood, they pass into wise womanhood. At this age, many become priestesses and healers, serving as spiritual leaders of their communities. Wise women have earned this leadership position because of the belief that women achieve better reproductive success when they stop having new children and instead invest in the children of their community now. This, in turn, affects the demographic and overall success of that community. So it's no surprise that the Mayans and so many other cultures throughout the world prioritize elder women in their societies. It is in their best interest to do so. The grandmother hypothesis. In the West, society rarely rewards wisdom obtained through experience, particularly when that experience involves a woman's body. The Japanese, like the Mayans, have a deep respect for the elderly. For them, experience is essential to learning, and becoming an elder in many cultures entails assuming a position of prestige. This directly contradicts Sigmund Freud's male-dominated theory of human development, which unfortunately seems to be the whole American vibe surrounding menopause. Freud says that the significance of a woman's existence is based on her ability or inability to bear children. Therefore, the postmenopausal woman's life has no purpose. She is invisible. However, many women around the world who have not lived their lives accordance with Freudian theory see postmenopause as the time when they feel the most centered and vitalized. Cultural anthropologists created the grandmother hypothesis to explain women's evolutionary role after menopause. The theory is that when a menopausal woman lives long enough to help raise her grandchildren, or the youth of today, she is able to help the community even more than if she just had more children. Grandmothers are more than simply a sentiment, they are vital to our gene pool. Some argue that this purpose is one of the characteristics that sets us apart from other female primates, apart from our opposable thumbs. We are the only primates with remarkable postmenopausal lifespans. Only the uncommon baboon or chimp in the wild survives menopause, but human women have many years afterwards. An older woman's wisdom is critical for survival, and the more we acknowledge this, the more menopause will be cherished in our culture. Cultural messaging and menopause. The fact that other cultures get through menopause without hot flashes or other symptoms suggests that, in addition to diet and lifestyle, there might be a link between what we feel physically and what we learn from our community. Women of Papua New Guinea, like many Native Americans and subcontinental Indians, embrace the idea of menopause. It is just another aspect of growing older in northern Sudan, offering increasing social authority and respect. If menopause were viewed in this light in the United States, maybe we would all experience it differently. Is it possible that our mindset around these things may impact how our body reacts? While a doctor in California may tell a woman that her loss of libido is a physical response to the problem of menopause and write her a script, a Bengali woman experiencing the same symptom does not believe there's anything wrong. Sexual activity during this time appears completely illogical. It is possible, and I want to acknowledge that women in other cultures might not be as encouraged to voice their discomfort as we are in our country. While we can all agree that every woman will eventually stop having periods, the symptoms, medical procedures, and negative experiences of menopause are not uniform. In fact, the American Journal of Medicine published an article in 2005 titled, "A Universal Menopausal Syndrome?" Guess what? They decided that there was no evidence for such a syndrome. There were too many variations in reporting and too many global clusters of distinct symptoms. Hot flashes were the most common symptom, but they were not always associated with other psychological or physical issues. Many additional problems, such as depression, headaches, irritability, and memory loss, were shown to be similarly common in both sexes, while others were thought to be more correctly described simply as aging symptoms. We're all different. It's important that individuals be treated as just that, unique individuals. When menopause is viewed as a medical condition or treated as a sickness, women see it as a sick time, a time when they are patients, waiting for recovery. Our anxieties and concerns about menopause differ depending on our culture of origin, and these fears can influence the type of menopause we experience. Perhaps the best news for the modern woman is that if she chooses, she can benefit from modern medicine when necessary, including natural hormone replacement therapy, while also experiencing menopause through the eyes of various cultures. This will allow us to see our symptoms in a fresh light. Rather than dreading menopausal symptoms, we can take them one day at a time, laugh a lot, and see them as an opportunity to step into the next chapter of our lives. We know from experience that being mindful of our stress levels, exercising on a daily basis, and eating healthy fats, appropriate amounts of protein, and plenty of fiber can help us work with our menopausal symptoms. Regardless of our personal management strategies, the discussion about menopause, both in the scientific community and with other women over coffee, will hopefully continue, and women from all cultures will be able to learn to embrace this time of growth and find meaning and purpose in this change in life. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into another video. Let me know what you think about this. I know that it is a very kind of strange topic to talk about, but I think that it's very important. Although I'm not at this phase of life yet, it's not that far away from me, and many of my clients are. So I think it's very important that we think about these things, talk about these things. Even if menopause is not going to affect us, it will affect somebody that we know. So I think the more of us that can kind of change our mindset around it, the better off we're all going to be. If you like the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, and all the things I'm supposed to tell you to do at the end of a YouTube video, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.